Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon, and today we're going to be showing you guys our first round of the Rift Rumble tournament. So the reason that I'm going to be talking over this instead of showing you guys the comms is because you can go and watch the stream from my stream, just go to my stream VODs on Twitch or YouTube, and you can watch it there. So for this, we're going to be going over the game just with me talking over it. So we're going to start with the draft, and then we're going to go through this game of the series. It's a best of 3, so we're going to go over the games of the series in general. So starting off with the bans, we banned Renekton because their top laner is a Renekton main, and Besta and Zilean are just very broken. We wanted to try out Rumble here, or we were thinking about it, so we go Nautilus, Rumble, which are just generally insanely strong champions. So most of the time, if those champs are up, we're going to pick them. Then at this point, we picked Xayah because they picked Vi, who can dive really hard, so we knew they were a pretty aggressive comp. So Xayah kind of makes sense. And I'm going through the draft quickly because we're just going to kind of give you guys an overview of it. We end up banning Arya Lissandra because we knew that they needed some type of AP. So we do that, and then we lock in Olaf. Olaf's amazing and do a lot of melee champs who are really aggressive, and then Volibear finally. So I'm playing Volibear mid lane, and the reason for that is, again, just because generally double Bruiser is quite strong, and double side lane is quite strong in competitive. And then you kind of have your dual lane. A lot of times go mid, or they go to a side lane and you play around the side lane, but that type of thing. And again, it's really hard for the enemy. They don't really have much they can do into us. With how tanky we are, a lot of their champions rely on us being squishier, rely on diving someone, but they can't really dive on anyone, so their comp just generally kind of sucks into us. So we definitely got a good draft overall. We are taking TP. TP is really good for tournaments generally, or at least has felt good so far for us because of the fact that you can just kind of swap lanes really quickly. If you need to get a lane swap off, you can rotate to team fights really fast while keeping pressure on side. Whereas in solo queue, it's not quite as effective. So here we do go to the side lane here. I end up going to the top side, which is where the dual lane is. We didn't really mind getting either type of matchup, so we just kind of, decided it didn't really matter what they do. We'll be fine either way. And then early on, we do notice that their dual lane's actually mid, or actually top side rather, as you're going to see here. Their dual lane is here. And so when this type of thing happens, you can see on mid lane, our Nautilus and Xayah instantly push the wave, and then they go to invade the camp because they know that they have an additional member, so it's really easy to invade and kind of mess up the jungler. Meanwhile, I'm just sitting here, and again, mainly my job here is just to absorb pressure. I'm okay with kind of falling behind, but the thing to understand if the enemy have 2 people in the lane and you're only 1 is that you get level 2 on the first wave and they don't. So I was trying to see if I could make some type of trade there. I'm playing aggressive as well because I know my jungle is going to invade because we saw their jungle invade on our red side. So because we know that their jungler invaded our red side, but we have prio on mid lane, we know we can look for a blue side invade after our jungler does his own blue buff and then does red side. So what they end up looking for, my team here, which is what I was calling for them, is like, hey, we can go invade their blue side because we saw her on our red buff, so we knew that she's going to be really behind, and then she looks for the gank on Rumble and loses her flash on that gank as well. So at that point, we pretty much know exactly what's going on, and you can tell I'm talking all about the rest of the map because this is what I'm basically doing as I'm communicating with my team. Is like, I'm paying attention to the map. I'm just sitting here in lane basically doing nothing, just drawing pressure and trying to protect turrets. I end up purposely taking damage just so I can not lose as much health, or not lose as much of the turret's health, and then I TP back to lane so I can protect it better as well. So when you're playing weak side like this, it's very useful. Meanwhile, my team's able to get a nice invade off there and get a bit of a gold lead. And then here, the enemy, again, I'm up a level because I'm getting solo XP, which means that I can go and pressure them pretty hard. I didn't think about the fact that they'd heal, though. But either way, I'm getting all that pressure, they're backing off, and this is in the 1v2 lane. So basically, for me, I'm looking for that moment where I can get that advantage based on my level diff that I get from getting solo XP to then screw over the enemy dual lane. Meanwhile, my team uses their numbers advantage to do things like invade, as we saw, make some additional plays, that type of thing. And so again, I'm sticking around because I know they're low mana, they have to recall, so I want to get this wave pushed in quickly, get our team that extra pressure, and just generally put ourselves in a decent spot. So not much actually happened so far, just again, we kind of get a natural gold lead from that invade that we did, and from the fact that I haven't lost too many plates. So that's kind of how this early game's gone overall. Excuse me, sorry. But yeah, going for Divine Sunder because they are very tanky. And you can see we have a 500 gold lead just from this lane phase, these little plays. And now at this point, my team's coming back to me. They now swap the Galio to me. And because they swapped Galio to me, now I'm in a pretty fine spot. I don't really mind hitting Galio. Like, I'm not that worried about dying to him or anything. And again, my job is really to kind of screw myself over. Like, that's pretty much what I'm communicating to my team all the time, is like, whatever you want in draft, whatever matchup is bad, whatever you want, just tell me. I will go play that. I will play a tank, and just no matter how far behind I fall, I'll always be able to engage or do something. That's pretty much kind of the strat here. Corrupt is our jungler. We kind of play, making sure he's strong, making sure our top laner Hadi is doing well, and that our dual lane can generally do well. Early on, they do get engaged on in mid lane, though, as we saw, now that the dual lane is there. And so again, anytime that I see some type of stuff happening in the mid lane or some type of play, I'm just looking to just go on the wave. Like, I don't care that I'm losing the trade on Galio. My only purpose here is just get the lane pushed. I don't need to win the trade. I don't need anything like that. I want to make sure he can't rotate to my teammates. And then obviously if I can trade on him, then that's great as well, like we can almost do here. But yeah, again, we just recall then at that point since there's not much going on. And once again, my teammates are calling for that invade because they have the timer on his blue buff because of our previous invade. So they can kind of use that pressure to then look for that invade there, which is what we see end up happening, which blows the Lulu's flash and gets the kill to our Olaf and gives us that pressure on the side lane, or on the blue buff rather. So you can again see just kind of constantly my team using those timers to find invades and find some type of angle. Now there, Corrupt, the Olaf did kind of overextend a bit because Xayah wasn't actually on the wave, or wasn't on the objective, or the jungle camp. I can't speak, holy crap. But yeah, he wasn't on the jungle camp, and so because of that, we ended up kind of overextending when we could have just taken the kill and left. And then for me, because I see Galio rotate, I'm just taking free plates. And so we're just kind of using our numbers advantage wherever we have it. So here again, we obviously have the numbers advantage for me, so I'm using, or I'm doing what I can to kind of trade there. And then because I have him low and I have ult up, I know that if there's an angle to dive with my jungle pathing towards me, I can look for it. So I'm kind of looking to see if I can trade it all, that type of thing as well, just kind of keeping the pressure up, but trying to communicate with my team like what I want to do. And so you see here, we end up looking for the dive because we knew he had no flash as well. And so we back him off, and even though we don't get the kill, it's fine because again, we get the pressure, we're able to get this wave pushed, force out the Poppy TP, and I'm just able to flash out. And again, I'm perfectly fine with doing these types of things, as again, the person who, like, in my mind, I'm going to screw myself over in the game if I can, just to give my team some type of lead, draw pressure, because what this ends up doing, draws them top lane, which gives my team mid prio, and gives my Rumble then complete control of bot lane because Poppy has to TP in order to stop that dive. So just all these kind of things, again, in kind of competitive play, they end up drawing, they end up getting value in ways that aren't just, you get a kill and that's good. It's like, again, it gives the advantage somewhere else on the map to someone who I care about more getting an advantage, whereas I'm picking champions on purpose that can do well no matter what. I'm picking stuff like Volibear, like Warwick, like Wukong, whatever, just stuff that can engage, that can get pressure early game, just generally that type of thing. So again, we just get him really low, that way he's not going to be super useful in the fight. And then now I'm just seeing if I can find a flank angle, but the enemy do just recall. And so I believe what we end up calling here is just like, hey, let's just look for a topside play, because we know they're going to go Herald. So we can use the fact that they're going Herald to then look for a free dive here. Nautilus tanks with his ultimate, and then we're able to get the Galio. So we pretty much just use the fact that they are going to go somewhere else on the map to get a completely free turret here. And I believe we end up getting at least part of the turret. But the enemy do end up coming, so I have to leave. But yeah, overall, we're not in a bad spot at all, because then they end up having to chase pretty deep here. And then, yeah, we actually found an angle to go in on them, even though I was pretty low health, which ends up working out really, really nice for us. So Xayah is able to live there, which, again, that's really that Xayah pick getting a lot of value. Like we said, they really have to dive really hard. And so since they have to dive really hard, champion like Xayah and all of our tanks are really hard to dive onto, so our team comp just generally works really well into theirs. So again, just wanted to kind of explain a lot of the things going on early here. And then you can see as well, I just use my TP to get this turret. I know I can just pressure the Poppy off, so I get my Rumble up free turret. And I'm perfectly fine with using my TP like this, because Rumble has his TP to TP to top side. So we're making this play, and then we're just lane swapping. We just use the TPs to make a play on one side of the map, and then you can see Rumble now TPs there. So we were completely aware of the fact that we're not actually going to lose anything, and we can get that turret out of it. And then we use the fact that I come back here on full health to then invade, where I'm full health and I just hit Divine Sunderer, and now we have just a free invade angle to end up looking for something and then get their blue buff. And then even I believe we might take the Gromp afterwards. So you can kind of see, again, these swaps, this type of thing is really important. Generally, when I'm playing these engaged type of champions, and Hadi, who is my top laner, I'm the mid laner, even though I'm playing Volibear, Hadi generally is playing these side lane champs that want to be by themselves. Like, he just wants to be left alone. Rumble a little less, honestly, than a lot of the other champs he picks. A lot of times he picks champions like Fiora, Camille, Jax, that type of thing. And here we get the solo kill on Poppy as well. But those types of champions, we just kind of let him go on his own. Meanwhile, I'm trying to be on the side of the map that might have, you know, more fighting going on early. And then Hadi scales up and draws that pressure later on. Whereas for me, I'm kind of drawing the pressure early on. And I'm, again, just like the engaged champion later on that wants to be in the team fights. And through that solo kill, we're able to come in and get this turret for free. And at this point, the game is kind of in a very hard position. So now we go back to top side because that's where the dragon is, and dragon spawning first. So that's why I end up swapping back with Hadi. Because he, again, doesn't need to be on this side of the map right away, whereas me being here is a bit more beneficial for us. He also has the Rumble ult to possibly protect that turret if he needs to. And then from here, we're kind of just looking for any small plays around the map. But again, our main communication is, hey guys, protect these turrets. We're ahead a bunch of gold. The gold bounties are up on our turrets. Make sure our turrets don't die. And if that happens, we're chilling. I'm also going for a Death Dance here because we know that they have a bunch of AD, and their damage is really reliant on AD. Galio's their only AP champion. I guess Lulu. Most of their damage is Corki. Like, Vi's not going to do a whole lot. Poppy, not a whole lot. They do damage, not a whole lot. But the Corki is really kind of their main champion. So we know if we dive onto Corki and Lulu in the fights, we're probably going to be chilling. And so that's, again, what we're communicating in the game, which, again, you can watch the VOD, obviously, if you want to just see us talking. I know a lot of people like watching us talking as well. I wanted to do it like this just because, again, it's something different. A lot of people watch my stream already, and they might be curious to, you know, have more insight on it, which is why I decided to do it like this, even though I know a lot of you guys like the other kind, where we just show the comms. But yeah, that's just how we're going to do it. And so at this point now, we know they're behind enough that they're probably not going to contest dragon. And so the main communication is, hey, if you need a TP in Hadi, you can. Otherwise, we're just going to do the dragon and then look to cover Baron, because Baron will be spawning soon. So we want to make sure that we're not going to lose out on the Baron or something like that. I have TP, so I'm fine with, again, staying on the side lane. And if they look to dive, because we knew they're probably going to make a bot side play as we go for dragon, I will TP there. And I'm telling them, hey guys, I'll TP if you need me, just tell me. They tell me, and so I TP there. Vi ends up overextending and going too early, and then from there we're just able to force onto the Corki, who flashes. He uses everything, and once we're able to get Corki dead, the game is pretty much over. And so from there, it's pretty straightforward. So we'll kind of skip through, but we get the Baron, we get some kills, and then from our Baron, again, we're just pushing out each side lane. I'm going to skip through this since it's pretty straightforward. But basically, we just want to have 1-3-1. So we want to have 3 people on one lane, typically mid lane. Here, they're pushing top lane just because it's convenient to push that turret. And then I'll have one other person on the side lane, and then someone mid or top or wherever. And then here, I'm just stalling again. I use my Gargoyle to stall as long as possible, jump over the wall onto the Lulu. And again, my team is rotating after they get top turret, then we get mid turret out of it. All really, really straightforward stuff. Just basically making sure we have all of the lanes pushing at a similar time. And from there, again, all of it is pretty easy. Because at this point, I think we have probably like a 10k gold lead. Yeah, we have like a 10k gold lead. So again, we use our Baron. We get what we can out of it. And then basically, we're just pushing waves and waiting for the next Baron. And then we find a fight angle here. Which is, again, my TP because my Nautilus finds a hook. Shout out to Crisis King for the hook. And then, again, we just pretty much win off this. And again, if you guys are wondering, by the way, these guys are Sovereign and Challenger level players on the enemy team. It's not like they're bad players or anything. But we are able to, you know, pretty smoothly win this game. And at that point, we do end. Or I think we end soon anyway. Yeah, so there we end. And then I'm just going to skip through until the next game, which will just take like a second. But yeah, so here's the second game. And again, looking at draft, we banned Renekton, we banned Akali, and we banned Nami because we were scared of Lucian Nami kind of stomping our lanes early. We wanted to make sure nothing like that happened. And then at this point, I'm forgetting what we ended up. Yeah, we probably was Zilean. Yeah, Zilean is obviously a really strong champion. The Revive is just such an OP ability, so we go for that. And then at this point, Fiora is a champion we want to prio in a lot of games. Again, that's Hadi. One of his best champions. Muse is his name in the game. He's the Fiora player. If we can get him on Fiora, we're usually pretty happy. And then Corrupt wanted Lee Sin, so we'll give Corrupt whatever. Usually it's literally just like, pick me a tank or some type of engaged champion. Pick Hadi a good side laner. The bot lane a lot of times plays engaged, but if they want to play a good strong dual lane, that's more enchanter or whatever, they can do that. And then Corrupt just picks whatever he wants because he's alpha like that. Corrupt was not supposed to be our teammate. Our jungler was Splasha. That's who we were practicing with and whatever, but then he couldn't make it, so Corrupt filled in. And did really well, obviously, because he's Corrupt. And so at this point, then we pick Warwick for me. And so this is honestly a really weird draft. I thought our draft sucked here. Like when I was in the game, I was thinking like, this draft is awful. I don't know what we're doing. I didn't really care. You know, I think we can win even with a bad draft. The reason I think it's a bad draft, we have very little setup for Misfortune. The only setup we have is Warwick ult, which is single target and can be blocked by Mundo passive or Morgana shield. And then we have Lee Sin, who can kick someone, but it's not really great. And then Misfortune Zilean, not like the strongest lane combo. And then our only engage is really me or Lee Sin. So I have to kind of take a lot of the kind of like the engage job, I guess, right? So that's kind of the main reason I think our draft kind of sucks. Whereas they're a lot, you know, they have a better tank, they have better synergy in the dual lane, better engage from their jungle as well. But here, by the way, we do go mid lane. So the reason we go mid, I go mid here, is because my main goal is just, again, draw pressure, and then we want to play around a certain lane. So in this case, we want to play around the top lane because it's an enchanter plus a strong early game champion like Misfortune. And so the goal pretty much is to get her as ahead as possible and play around that. And so that's why our jungle is pathing towards that. And that's why I'm literally just walking at Orianna. I don't care if Orianna damages me. I care that I can find the jungle. I care that I can have the ability to rotate to my team if I need to. And so we pretty much, from minute 1, you know, from minute 0, we have the plan in mind that this dual lane is who we're playing around, so we're pathing towards that. I'm getting pressure for that reason. And Orianna didn't take first strike, which meant I didn't care if she damaged me. If she was first strike, I wouldn't want to take this poke because first strike gold would, you know, she'd get free gold. She's phase rush, and so because of that, I can just heal, and I know she doesn't have the damage to kill me. I've played a bunch of Orianna. I was rank 1 Orianna last season. I know this champion's limits. I know she can't kill me. And then I have TP, so anytime I get low enough, I'll just TP back. That's really the entire strategy here. I saw Wukong looking for a gank, and now we know where Wukong is exactly, and his clear got slowed a bit, again, just from this random pressure I draw. So that's pretty much my whole job here. Again, I don't care about screwing myself over. I don't care about nothing. It's just be pushed up in lane so Ori gets to do nothing, have the lane pushed so that I can rotate if I need, and then my teammates play around that. And then here we saw that they were probably going to dive bot. Fiora was getting low, and their dual lane was on Fiora. And we knew that we couldn't dive Mundo. He's too tanky. So we recall our Zilean, and then we have Zilean go and cover the dive. Basically, because of that, now we can't get Dove on the bottom lane, which is, again, the main thing is you either want to create, you know, an angle where you're pathing towards someone and then you're going to dive that lane. That's the stronger lane. And then if you see that you can't dive anyone, you basically just play to prevent the dive or to, you know, make sure everyone is chilling and the game progresses naturally. And so in this case, we knew that we couldn't actually dive, and so we end up doing this instead. Here we get the Orianna flash then, because Zilean, after he protects, he ends up just rotating to my lane first to help me push out a wave, and then after he helps me push out that last wave and this wave, he can then go back to the dual lane, because our ADC is currently recalling, so he has enough time to do that anyway. And I forgot to mention as well, we actually swapped our lanes. We put our dual lane on the Baron lane side of the map, so they'd be against the solo lane, because we wanted to, again, get some type of advantage there. So that was kind of their call. Honestly, in hindsight, I don't think that was a good call because Mundo can't really die to that lane. But that was the thought process at the time. I think it is better to have Mundo on Fiora, though, because Fiora will just outscale the Mundo. But again, you see all these things going, and then they try to engage on me, or he misses her ult because she is a silly goose there. And again, we're just sitting here, just getting pressure constantly. Not really worried about much because I have my ult, I have my flash, I'm perfectly fine. Zilean was hovering me because, again, Misfortune didn't really have anything going on. And just from these little swaps that we get going, and from this pressure we have almost an 1,000 gold lead, funnily enough, and then Mundo almost ends up dying there. But yeah, basically from all of this, we're just able to get a decent little lead here, even though we don't have any plays really going on. And then we're just waiting for something to show up. And at this point, we saw maybe we can look for a dive, but Morgana's covering there. But then because we know Morgana's not covering, top side has pressure. So we're basically, again, just constantly trying to follow where their support is, where their jungle is. And based on where support or jungle are, we can make a play. So now we want to see if we can make something happen top side because we knew their support's not there yet. And so that's kind of what I'm looking to see if I can push and get anything done. I'm just using my third ability to maintain some health. And then backing off. Again, I don't care if I lose a minion or two. I just care that I can get vision of the jungle and support. Because if jungle and support are accounted for, then we have full information to make plays. Because obviously you're going to see the mid, top, and bot most of the time. So it's obviously a lot different than, you know, your solo queue games where there's a lot more going into it. And even if there are no kills early on, getting these little advantages is important. And again, you just see me, I'm literally just walking up and autoing minions this whole time. Like all I'm doing is autoing these minions, queuing myself to heal, and then waiting for a play to be made with my jungle and dual lane or whoever looks gankable. And in this case, this is where me having this pressure finally matters. I'm able to then dive with my team here. We're able to get the first blood onto the Morgana because, again, we knew where their support was. We knew that their jungle wasn't here yet. And so we knew we could make some type of play happen. And from that, we're able to get a couple kills and then back off as well. I'm able to Q the Wukong ultimate so he can't stun me. And we survived pretty well there. So this is pretty much what we were leading up to, like essentially was, I want to have that push, I want to time my push with jungle, and if we can get a 4-man dive at some point, as long as they're able to win lane, even though our team comp sucks, we can get an advantage, and that's pretty much exactly what we did. I go right back to the lane, help my teammate get some stuff, and then I see if I can do anything bot, but I can't. So we recall. And at this point now we do have our dual lane swapped to mid. I'm telling them, hey, just go mid. We'll lose a little bit mid, but it gives us better lanes. The reason it's better lanes is because now at this point we want our strong dual lane to control the mid lane so that they can then rotate into whatever objective looks better for us. And then I can again just have my TP to side lane, on side lane. Fiora has their TP. And so if either of us want to TP somewhere, we'll just TP. And then we have our dual lane again in mid. So we kind of have options to go wherever. In this case, I believe Mundo does get caught out here. And so I think we end up playing towards the dragon, which is on the bottom side of the map. And then I'm just sitting here 1v1 against the Ori. I'm telling them, hey, I can move first. If you guys want me to move, like I can be there, but we probably don't need to. And we just prile that bot turret. Because again, getting those turrets as soon as plates drop are super important in this meta. So instead of valuing an objective, a lot of times you can value that first turret over anything. Because that's what Herald would basically give anyway. So like, great, they got Herald. We got first turret and dragon. That's way, way better. And then at this point, I know they're probably looking for a dive, so I'm saying, hey, Zilean, can you get here? I'm going to try to stall. And then you see Zilean walking across the map. I know they're going to dive because obviously they just did the dragon. I'm using my third ability to tank a bunch. And again, I'm just stalling as long as I can. And all I needed to do there was stall this long because you can see now Fiora and Zilean collapse on them. They use their TP. And then because they TP, they have 5 people here. So their entire team is on this side of the map. We're getting mid and bot push for free. We can get a bot invade, and all we lose is my life and some of the bot or the top turret, which is completely valuable for us. So just anticipating their plays and then having our team just move fast enough to the point that we're fine. And again, I'm fine with screwing myself over, as I've talked about. So I use my third ability, which is a really good ability for stalling. I stall out a decent amount, get what I can done, and then we're pretty much, you know, happy at that point. We almost got the mid turret even too. And then now, because Fiora is on top side, I go to bot. Again, you just always want to be swapping with your side laner and make sure you have someone covering each side. And then ideally, if we have these lanes pushed, we can rotate to, you know, any type of fight that's happening. And we're up 5k gold, by the way, from just 4 to 1 in kills. So again, like this macro, again, we're playing against Sovereign and Challenger level players. Like, it's not like they're bad players, but you're just able to get all these advantages from these types of things that they just don't coordinate as well. Which is pretty nice. And honestly, we haven't played a lot of like competitive. We played a couple scrims as a team. That was about it. So this is kind of stuff we're just learning, but I mean, worked out pretty well so far for us. And at this point now we do swap back with Fiora because Fiora wants to match into the Mundo here because Mundo is very tanky, so the true damage from Fiora is nice. My champion doesn't melt through tanks very well, so I want to stay on the side lane away from that if we can. And then at this point in the game, we're pretty much saying like, okay, we're ahead enough. We don't really need to do much. So just protect the gold bounties on turrets and then make a play for a turret if we see an angle to get the top turret. Because top turret's the only one of their turrets that's left up. So if we see an angle to make a play for that, we're going to do that. Other than that, we're just going to protect the gold bounties, as we said. So that's kind of, again, the main thought process we have here. And so, yeah, again, just pretty straightforward. We have Zilean hovering this side because, again, that's the side that matters more due to turrets. And then we're checking. My Fiora couldn't talk here for whatever reason. I forget why, but he wasn't able to talk. So I was pinging his teleport to make sure I knew when it was coming up, since I was kind of having to pay attention to that a little bit since he couldn't communicate. And so, yeah, then we're aware of like, okay, he can teleport in a minute, so he'll be ready for the objective. And then here I see my team coming, so I know I can just go on to Morgana. So we just get a free kill. So again, I'm just pretty much stalling there, right? Like I'm sitting there and then I wait till my team's in a position to follow up, and then I just do a simple play like ulting onto that guy, and from there we're able to get a decent little advantage. I believe I end up looking to recall here. No, I get heal, so I end up staying. And then Misfortune again covers that mid wave. So since Misfortune's on that mid wave first, we know like we're gonna get that free push which gives us a little bit of a gold advantage, and then we know we can turn on them as misfortune's coming. And again, I'm just stalling. I have the Zilean ult to stall as well that we're talking about, and so I'm just completely, you know, able to survive. Again, like literally, you can see how many times I'm pretty much just going in just to start something. Like that is my job, especially in this game where we have such little engage. I just want to start something. I don't care if I die necessarily. And it works out really well. I recall so that I can get on the map quicker as my team gets that top turret. We reset, and then we end up switching lanes again because Dragon is bot side here. And again, I want to be in those team fights right away, whereas Fiora wants to get that side lane pressure, as we spoke about, which means that Fiora is going to stay on that side. I'm telling Fiora, make sure you ward the Baron so that they don't sneak it possibly after we're done with Dragon if they try to stall or whatever, and then just go for the Dragon. And again, if we see an angle to fight, we'll fight, but we're up 6k gold at this point. They can't really walk into us. They can't do much. And again, very straightforward, right? Once we get to this point in the game, again, it's going to be another kind of skip forward situation because this is, again, the stuff where it gets kind of boring. It's just like, it's just a formality at this point, frankly. The game conclusion is mostly done unless we do something dumb. And you can see now that we got the Dragon, I swap back with Fiora. So Fiora goes to the side lane away from the key objective that we're looking at. And then I go on the side where we expect a fight to happen, which is around the Baron. So Fiora has more time to draw that pressure. We're telling Fiora, hey, just chill out. Just make sure all you're doing is sitting there keeping prio. And then if the enemy overextend, we'll find and engage on them. And Fiora has TP, and we know this. And then at this point, Orianna does get caught. She doesn't die, but she loses a lot. And then I'm saying, hey, Lee Sin, if I go in, can we fight? And he's telling me yeah. And so at this point, my team's all moving. And so again, my job, I'm literally just starting something. Doesn't have to work out perfectly. I just go here, I stall with all my abilities, and we end up getting the kill here onto the enemy. So literally just the same thing over and over again. We wait till our team is in a position to follow up. We look for that engage. And even if it's not perfect, even if we're kind of a little early on it, we end up getting the kill because we're ahead enough. And so we get the Baron out of that. And so again, it's just that 1-3-1 stuff, you know, make sure I'm on one side, Hottie's on the other side, which is my Fiora again. And then we have the rest pushing mid. All of it really, really simple. And at this point, Lee comes, picks off the Mundo, we push the turrets, and we pretty much end the game from there. So obviously, again, I'm just going to skip through. Once again, just a formality, a lot of this stuff. And I just wanted to kind of show you guys what was going on with the tournament. And then we do play semifinals tomorrow. So we played one match after this. We stomped it even harder than we stomped this match, so I didn't really want to show you guys. But yeah, we stopped those two matches, and so now we're going into the semifinals. We play against Cosmic Souls team. They're a much, much better team. Honestly, if I'm going to predict, I think we're going to lose. I know people don't like when you say you think you're going to lose a match when it's like a competition. It's like a weird thing to say. I don't really care because for me, I feel better anyways when I expect to lose because I'm less worried. I'm if I think I'm going to win and then I go in and I lose, I'll feel bad about it or I'll feel more nervous. If I think I'm going to lose because I think they're better or more experienced or whatever, I don't really care. But they have players who, have played competitive more than us and are good players overall. So I'm kind of expecting not much going in, but I think we can win. And so we're going to make a video on that. And then I think we'll play third place or first place, depending on, finals or the third place match, depending on if we win or lose. I'll show you guys that too. So I'll probably make a video just on that whole thing tomorrow or the day after. But yeah, I'll make it at some point. And so we'll be playing the semifinals as this video comes out. The semifinals will already be done. The semifinals would be my last stream. If you just go and look at my most recent stream VOD, if you're watching this video right away in the morning, if you're watching it a little later in the day, it'll be my second to last stream VOD. You can just find it on my stream. It'll have the title, Rift Rumble Tourney, semifinals, whatever. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope that this was somewhat interesting to you. Hope maybe you were able to learn kind of how higher level gameplay looks when you're more coordinated with 5 people. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed.